Right after a wave of mysterious drone sightings in New Jersey, people are concerned and demanding answers, but the government isn't saying much. Now similar sightings are being reported here in San Diego and across Southern California.
Speculation and concern about who or what is behind those drones in New Jersey continues to grow. It has some people living in fear, with civilians and even some lawmakers wondering if a hostile foreign government is behind the flying objects.
For weeks now, New Jersey residents have been plagued by unexplained drones flying overhead. You can see tiny lights behind the trees there in the dark sky. Very hard to see.
There's so many things in the sky right now. All the ones over here. There's two behind here. Yeah, look.
We begin with those concerning drone sightings.
Drones.
What are those things?
Hey, hello. It's us. You did it, Nave. We're back.
We did it.
It's all good. It's all good. It's been a while. We've had a bit of a break. Sometimes you need to. It's difficult to explain, but you completely immerse yourself into a subject, and you know what I mean. So sometimes you need to step back, recharge, and come back at it. And that's what we're going to do now. We was planning, I think, Nave, to come back early New Year with a kind of new format and all that, keep it fresh. But with what's going on at the moment, and as from the intro you might have guessed, what we're going to talk about tonight, this stuff that's going on, it's getting a big press in New Jersey, okay? But this, from what I'm led to believe, it's a global phenomenon. I mean, we're talking America, China, Argentina, Japan, Russia, UK, obviously, as you know.
Yeah.
So they're trying to point it towards foreign adversaries, Russia, Iran, that kind of thing. But if that was the case, would it be global? I don't know. So we're going to look at all sides of it tonight. We're going to be joined by Simon Holland, who's waiting patiently in the green room, so we won't keep him waiting too long. But Nath, what have you been up to in those months we've been away?
I've been trying my hardest to actually have a break. Because the second we stopped, I was like, I don't know what to do with myself now. Kind of bored. So I've started filming for a new series that Paraverse is going to put out. I'm even trying to do one a week just to keep myself occupied. But then I spent so much time concentrating on that I forgot to concentrate on the whole UFO, UAP thing. And then by the time I look back, so much had happened. I was like, oh, where the hell do I even start?
It's rabbit hole, isn't it? Complete.
Yeah. So
it's
I'm
crazy.
going to start with drones, as you may have heard in the intro a few times. The word's been mentioned a lot. Oh dear.
I mean, they're calling them drones, aren't they? We'll get into this. I want to talk to Simon about it as well to get his take. But it just seems convenient that they're being called drones. Is this because it went from UFOs to UAPs, and now UAPs it's drones now?
Is it because swarm of UFOs sounds more ominous than lots of drones have been sighted? It makes you think more that it's people than instead of UAPs.
Sinister, isn't it?
But it's still unexplained things in the sky. It's the same thing. Whether it's us, whether it's aliens, whether it's whatever, it's still UAP, UFO, whatever name you want to give it. They're all the same bloody thing. Anyway, we're going to sit here and rumble.
For people listening, if you've not watched the show before, just quickly how we look at things. We have got our own take on UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, all that sort of stuff. All right. But when we discuss a subject, we try and come at it from every angle. So we're not just going to sit here, put our tinfoil hats on and say it's aliens. Okay. We're going to look at it from every possible angle. Simon's going to help us do that. And hopefully try and figure out what's going on. Because from what I'm led to believe, from what I can see online, nobody has got a clue, or nobody's owning up to having a clue of what is actually going on. So we'll look a little bit more into it tonight. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories, a lot of things being thrown around. So the best we can do is sit and discuss what we think is going on. And literally, perfect introduction to do that. That's what our guest here is here to do with us tonight. Here he is.
Simon, welcome
hi,
to the
Nathan
show.
and Gaz. Thank you for having me on. That's great. It's
a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
We love you and miss you. And your discussions are really excellent.
Thank you so much. Well, I've spent a lot of today looking at some of the stuff you've done recently, especially the interview you did with Nick Pope.
Right.
A very kind of unique take on it as well. Nick's got. He kind of gives all sides of the argument. Where are you? What sort of side of the argument are you coming down on at the moment, Simon?
I've actually changed quite a lot. I think the situation is extremely serious. I think we're under attack. I mean, I'll define why I say attack with you guys right now. But since I talked to Nick, but very much Nick Pope and I were discussing the Lakenheath and the UK sightings. And I was just outraged that the UK MOD, it's the worst incursion into British, military airspace, probably ever, since World War II. I don't know. I mean, in Cold War, we had Russians flying off the North Sea, and we would scramble jets to escort them all. I mean, this is actually not only and it's good to start with the British case and then move on to New Jersey and other places. But in the British case, it wasn't only Lakenheath, Mildenhall, but there were drone sightings or unknown craft sightings, as you say, Gaz, over married quarters of RAF personnel. The families and wives and kids of pilots. I'm really horrified, and the lack of transparency and the MOD and the NATO hardly saying anything. And I mean, it seemed to me what Nick Pope was saying is that they were very unprepared. You can't it was unconventional weapons. It was an unconventional, it was an attack. And scrambling F-15s, an F-15. I'm a pilot. The minimum airspeed is probably about 100 knots. But how do you? It's an inappropriate weapon system to capture if it was a drone. And it seems to me in that case, but things have moved on, and we need to explain since Lakenheath why the situation is way worse. But at the Lakenheath case, it seemed to me. And that's why Nick and I talked that it was more than a coincidence that Britain had just authorized Storm Shadow from the MOD to be sent, Britain to be sent to Ukraine. Although I heard through various sources that the Storm Shadow cruise missiles, although they could reach Russia, were restricted to only reach no further than the Russian-held occupied parts of the Ukraine. But anyway, Mr. Putin was peed off. And it seemed the timing of what happened in Britain seemed to be, saying that to Britain from Russia. And it seemed quite obvious to me. And when people were starting not knowing what they were, and it was very much a warning shot. I mean, and the other thing, UFOs wouldn't only be at night; they would be in the daytime, or UAP. And these drones or these flying devices were also visible. They had lights. Angry Astronaut drove up. He's American. He drove up from London up to Cambridgeshire and got a bit lost and went down a country road. And one of these buggers went zooming over his car over a field, and it had an LED light, stuck on the bottom because they wanted it to be seen. It was a message in Britain. And then he said he saw a car drive off, and it was a drone, was abandoned in a field. I wish he'd got it, and I wish he'd got the registration number of the car. And then, as Gaz, as you said, Nick and I talked from our ancient history of when CND and the Marxist Party had people in Britain who would share national secrets like American submarine movements with what they thought was CND, but in fact CND were compromised, and that information all went to Moscow in the Cold War, and Russians in Russian called the British citizens who were helping Russia indirectly useful idiots. So that was our focus of discussion. Have we got back the useful idiots? He didn't think so. He thought that people were being paid because, Nath and Gaz. I mean, here's the problem. If it was Russia, how the crap did they send drones 2,000 miles from Moscow to Mildenhall and Lakenheath? Well, they wouldn't have, So, and they were smallish craft. They weren't like the giant ones that have been seen recently, so it seemed. We were just talking like we're doing tonight, and we said it's possible that Russian agents could have coerced or paid people in Britain to just go and fly them because it was giving us a message to the UK and NATO assets. I mean, Mildenhall and Lakenheath really coped with it badly. They should have had anti-drone stuff. EMP devices on the security. You would have thought, wouldn't you?
I read yesterday there was some sighted over. I think it was HMS Elizabeth was off the coast of Germany, and they had drones flying over there as well, and they had F-16s in the air, so they couldn't use the EMPs because every time they'd bring down the F-16s. But they have other anti-drone where they kind of mess with the signal, so they can take the signal away from the remote control, and then they can take over it. That's what they use at like football matches and things to just land them and take over the drones. But they didn't work. Whatever they used, it was completely pointless.
Work.
So
they
seem to have got some kind of new drone technology that is not able to be hijacked. So
a lot of people said to me, they said, bollocks, drones. If you've got a Mavic, it's geo-fenced, so you can't actually fly it near Lakenheath. And that, that's true if you are a registered, a DJI owner. But Nath, it would have to be something that was hacked or or unlocked somehow. In the British case. But let's talk about what I think that I've been looking at very much the big picture and not what the objects are in some strange way, because I think people are seeing all kinds of things. I mean, really lots of things that they should know slightly better. But the effect of the drone incursions in the United States on the population, they're under attack, psychological attack. Who's behind it? What's really going on is the big story of what we're living through tonight. What do you both think? How serious do you think the situation is for for America and maybe, Gaz, as you said, the world?
Well, I mean, if you just take it from America, if we can discount the fact that this is the American military doing this, because there is talk of this false flag thing going on, trying to emulate a alien invasion to scare the crap out of everybody. There's that going on, but I think that I think people are feeling let down more than anything, because this stuff is going on around them.
Right.
And the American government seem powerless or unwilling to share what's going on or be able to do anything about what's going on. So
I saw it was one of the Ross Coulthard's news articles on it, or videos that he made on it.
Yeah,
and one of the reasons he gave for why they may not be as forthcoming with information is if it's, say it's China, because they don't think it's necessarily Russia because of the technology that it would need.
Okay.
Russia probably don't have that unless they've been supplied it, and we don't know. But say it's China. If they're invading British airspace, American airspace all over the world, and looking at very, very sensitive military installations, the second you acknowledge that, you acknowledge an act of war. Therefore, you're at war with China. So if you don't say anything, you're not at war yet. So they could be, don't tell anyone what it is. Don't say that we know who it is, because the second you do, now you're at war because they've invaded your airspace. So that could be why they're keeping it quiet and pretending that they don't know who it is or what it is, or they just don't have a clue, which is more terrifying.
Or some of these things, a lot of the stuff they're seeing in the sky are clearly aeroplanes, clearly drones that have been put up by the police. Okay.
Or even the public.
Let's go down the tinfoil hat route just for a second, because we've got to cover all viewpoints here. If there is something off the coast, and some sergeant in the police said that he stood on the beach and watched 50 of these things come out of the sea, whether it just looked like they were coming out of the sea or whether they were coming out off a ship just over the horizon, I don't know.
Okay.
But if this is aliens, if this is coincidental of what has just happened in Russia, whereas we gave the go-ahead and Russia started rattling the saber, mentioning nuclear weapons, go back to 1967 with the incursions over Maelstrom Air Force Base, where these things turned up and switched off all the nuclear weapons, okay? So they have heard tell nuclear weapons being mentioned. We're very close to them being used. So do they show up? And to cover up the fact that they've shown up, the American military all of a sudden stick all this clunky stuff in the air that is clearly man-made.
Man-made, right.
To cover it up. So it's just another thing to possibly look into, you know. Is it smoke and mirrors?
It's a bit like this time, well, early last year, we were all talking about spy balloons being shot down that were literally just a balloon. And again,
Very
if this
clever.
is China, within the space of 18 months, they've gone from something really tiny and not very technological, attached to a massive balloon that drifted over on the wind, to technologically advanced drones that could maybe fly halfway around the world, or maybe even piloted by AI, whatever. Like
The
it
balloon
seemed
was
like a
very
bit of a jump.
clever because, I mean, the Dew Line and NORAD was all radar geared up for ICBMs over the pole at supersonic. And I heard that they very much needed to filter out birds and Cessnas and balloons. You know, all that stuff was crap. And, you know, China knew that. So you could send out a slow-moving balloon that was a spy device. I mean, it obviously was, and it was very clever. And so, in the same way, a drone, even a domestic drone or a medium-sized drone, which is very hard to combat, is unconventional warfare. I mean, we all know, we've seen the incredible footage that Ukraine and Russia, how they're using drones, 3D printed drones, homemade domestic drones with bombs and suicide drones in the Ukrainian conflict. You know, this is a new warfare, and most armies, most military are fighting yesterday's war. You know, they're geared up for the attack, for the threats that they know, and smart people fighting wars, you know, hit people with things that they aren't expecting. I mean, that's the whole thing. A very big point I try and make on my channel about how military physics. You need the next atom bomb. You need to work on since the Trinity Project. World War II has never finished asking questions from scientists. What can you build me that they won't know about? I mean, you need to have unconventional, and this is definitely unconventional. But going back, you two both said something absolutely brilliant earlier. Both of you gave examples of fear, of unknown, of government and foreign and nobody knowing. That, I think you nailed it. I think what's happening right now is that the American people are completely having, as I say, psychological warfare. I actually think it might be from the United States personally, because it seems so effing incompetent that the FBI goes on the TV and when put on the spot by the senator goes, I don't know. I mean, it's rubbish. Since 9/11, I was there at 9/11 in the United States. The failure of what happened with the Twin Towers is that there was no communication between various branches of the FBI and the FAA and everybody. Nobody talked to each other. You know, the woman found the pilots learning to fly in Minnesota who said to the flight school, we don't need to learn to land, reported it because it was suspicious she'd heard it from the flight school, and everybody ignored her, and the rest is history. But so they set up Homeland Security, what that was supposed to be able to look at. You know, New York has one of the biggest track-on flight centers for JFK and LaGuardia. They can follow effing drones if they they should be able to, unless they're not drones, from takeoff to landing. The FBI, they must be scouring the streets with agents. Who's flying these buggers? Where they come from? If, as you say, Gaz, I mean, if they're coming out of the sea, if it's going to be a Coast Guard. Coast Guard is another military presence. Why are the American people being kept in the dark? It seems that there's, you know, as your wonderfully edited introduction, we don't know, we're under attack, you know, we don't know what these things are. And it doesn't matter what they actually are. It's what the effect it's having. Talking to Ashton Forbes this evening about it, he is very much of the opinion, as an American living in Minnesota, that it's something to do with the preamble up to the taking over by Donald Trump. That he thinks that there is a destabilization attempt going on. Plus, there's a lot of miscomprehension, and media are reporting it badly, and a lot of single drones are seen from different vantage points and then will be reported as multiples, and civil aircraft. But irrelevant of what they are, unless they are genuinely extraterrestrial, I think it's unlikely. But the effect on people, I think we're at war at present. There's something going on. And
I was just going to say, if they were going to do psychological warfare, as the intro showed, all of the media, every channel you put on the TV, drones.
Yeah, of course.
That's how they do it. Everywhere you look, people would be asking, talking about drones. It'd be on newspapers, the TV, everywhere you go, drones. So that's how they get that fear into you. So it would make sense.
But why not over here?
Everywhere. Pardon?
Why not over here, though? I mean, we had the incursion, and I think I've seen one news article on ITV that you posted earlier, Simon.
Yeah.
But that we've heard.
Yeah,
nothing
that was
else.
You're right. Yeah, Gaz, you're absolutely right. The lack of reporting on I think the ITN did that article today. I loved it. They called me a pundit. That was I like being called. I thought pundit was something you put strawberries in. I was joking, but they yeah, why isn't it happening here? I think I know why it's not happening here because we got the message. We are weak. We are not. We, the MOD, NATO bases in Britain, are vulnerable. We can fly something built at Argos over Lakenheath if we wanted to, and we did. And I was not surprised that it stopped. But what's going on in the United States, I think, is it connected? Do you think there's a connection? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It doesn't
I
make
was
any
just
sense
going
to
to
me.
say they might not even be related incidents.
Right.
Fair enough, they're both
Right.
drones and they're both pretty close, but they could be completely unrelated.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
don't
think
see a
it depends
connection.
how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
got people like Stephen Greer, for instance, that's been talking about a false flag thing for a long time that's imminent.
Project
You know.
Bluebeam, is it?
Yes. So is this the start of it? You know,
Right.
Is this the alien war we were told was meant to happen on the 3rd of December? Is it actually happening and we just don't know?
Yeah.
It's a
I
strange
think
one.
the
It really
answer
is. Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, sure.
So you guys, you know, have had a break. I've had a bit of a break because I covered this story about this alien signal called BLC-1,
Yes.
which got massive news coverage and got completely out of hand, and people missed the point that we live in 2024 where we have confirmed non-human intelligence in the universe, biological and technical. But I mean, and the reason that people didn't believe it is because SETI and Brits Who Listen don't want it to be out there, and that's the real story. And it made me look like a fucking idiot, but it's true. It's true. The signal's still there, but blue beam thing. While that was going on, it was prior to the Trump election, and a lot of the some of the Trump organizing camp turned against me and said that I was part of this alien political thing. And I asked somebody who I know very well in the United States, who's a channel member, and he said, "Oh yeah, they hate you." I went, "Oh good, good, I like that." But that aside, I said, "Well, what's the story? Because I don't get it. I mean, obviously, I've got nothing to do with Donald Trump." And he said, "Ah, Werner von Braun, on his deathbed or near his deathbed, said that the next big political upset is going to be a false flag alien invasion, and that was very much believed by a number of people and the Trump administrators, lobbyists prior to the election, and they said, "Oh, that weird guy." On YouTube is part of this conspiracy. Of course, I wasn't. It was just I didn't even know that it existed. So yeah, no, I've heard. Of course, so I was a bit involved in that, and I've heard that is possible. And yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, what would you do if you? How would you alter American people and scare the pants off them? You know, we've
I
had.
don't know. It's control, isn't it? I mean, if you look back to medieval times, control of the masses was religion, wasn't it? If you don't live your life to a certain set of values, this is going to happen to you when you die. And we've kind of lost that. Churches are emptying, you know, and people are kind of, it's just not a threat anymore. So maybe this is another form of control of the masses.
What if since 2017, when the New York Times were like, look, New York Times, was it? That were like, here's the videos of UFOs, UFOs are real, and everything that's happened since with all of these hearings and people talking about UAPs every 5 minutes. What if all of it is just control, none of it's real, and it just keeps us doing this, keeps us entertained and occupied and not paying attention to what's really going on?
Thing is, though, the connotations of that, guys, is that the American government, that's just not just the American government, but there are governments around the world that have access to technology that we are being denied, because these things are clearly being seen in the sky. They're clearly
real.
got capabilities that we can only dream about. The way that they counteract G forces, their transmedium, so that the connotations of that is that we are far more advanced technologically than we are being led to believe, that's frightening, isn't it?
Oh well, it's vital that that technology, is being researched, and it is definitely well said, Gaz. It's frightening. I mean, we are all Brits, and we live in a country, one of the few countries in the world. I happen to live here in France, which is another country that officially, at government level, well done, Britain. UAP are real. I mean, that was the year 2000. What's the United States doing? Still discussing it? I mean, we're supposed to be some kind of Five Eyes ally, and they're not even asking us, well, why do you think they're real? And what Gaz has just said is so true. I mean, the 5 or 6 observables, the 6 being human injury, which has been my kind of thing with Rendlesham. It came from defense contractors studying genuine anomalous phenomenon in the sky that are real and trying to weaponize them. So Gaz, you're absolutely right. I mean, that technology has been studied. How do they move like that? Can we copy it? Can we build a weapon system? Can we, or even, well, it's always weapon systems. The people who with the money are looking at that. So no, UAP are real without a doubt. I mean, what are they is a bigger question. I mean, I think some of them probably are non-human intelligence, but I also think that I've been going down this rabbit hole of consciousness, and I think that plasma can be a state of consciousness. One of the most interesting things that I was told is that if you just even get a natural plasma event like a ball lightning, it has defensive action. If you go up to a plasma ball, which can be self-sustaining in our atmosphere, it will move away. Now, why? Because taking defensive action shows an intelligence, and we are beginning to understand that large field collections of atoms have a subatomic quantum level where we are actually connected to the universe in a kind of a way where we are also, our consciousness might be that connection basically to the quantum level. So I think there's an awful lot that is being studied, and it's an absolutely fantastic subject. We live right now in 2024 in one of the most interesting times. We have the telescopes, optical and radio telescopes, to prove that we're not alone in the universe. And we have the technology. We confirm that UAP are real. We're moving into a new era in human existence, I believe.
I think we need to open our minds a lot more, because we tend to think in terms of nuts and bolts, because that's what we are used to. That's what we understand. And people are very kind of blinkered in their thinking, aren't they? And it's about opening your mind up and exploring avenues that we don't know what we don't know, basically. So we need to, it's credible time.
It's a bit like with the topic of consciousness. We're stuck again, blinkered into, this is what I can see, what I can feel, what I can hear, all that seeing is believing. But you can't see the majority of the light spectrum. You can't hear the majority of frequencies. You can't touch a lot of it. There could literally be a being standing right next to me, but because it moves through a different dimension than I can perceive, I can't see it. So we judge the universe and what happens in it based on the knowledge that we have on our five senses that could be, compared to the universe, ridiculously limited. And it's a bit like the analogy of getting a teaspoon of water out of the sea and being like, see, there's no sharks in the sea because there's none on my spoon. That's us trying to understand the universe. We just have the teaspoon to analyze.
Yeah.
So we could be completely wrong. And like I said, it's
we are wrong,
trying to ask odd questions.
We're very clever that, we build airplanes out of what we think is stable aluminum or even aluminium. And we are able to manipulate what we think is reality. But we, as you brilliantly said, Nathan, I mean, we are so limited in our senses, and the way that the universe really works, I mean, everything is just energy, effectively. Even at the level that we exist, you can tell that we are just a bond of energy, and most of the energy is plasma as well. So I mean, it's very, very interesting, and the way that we are obviously connected to the quantum world, the world of subatomic stuff. We are only beginning to scratch that surface. I mean, we need to ask more questions, and the physics is just fascinating. It's great stuff. I mean, but we're just idiots, really.
I hope this leads somewhere. Cause I was going to say, Simon, what do you think the end game is here? Are we on the threshold of some great discovery, or is this just another game that's going to fizzle out like so many have?
Oh, great. I think we live in interesting times. I think that we could, given the right political will and religious leading will and people who control us, it could be revealed that we're really moving into a realization that we're not alone in the universe. We have to come to terms with how we're going to deal with AI and what that really means to us, how it could benefit us and not screw us, as a lot of it is at present, especially in the creative industry. And the physics also has to escape this stranglehold. Physics used to be amazing. I mean, I worked at Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge, and it was the most incredible place where people were doing cutting edge things. People like Lord Rutherford literally called himself an alchemist. He worked out how to turn lead into gold. He literally did. He did that experiment. He's a fantastic guy, big guy, and Stephen Hawking and people like that. But ever since World War II, physics has gone dark because physics is funded by the military. The military wanted the next atom bomb. They want advanced radar. They want EMP weapons. They want unknown weapons, weird stuff. And so I think right now, are living in a time of the man behind the curtain is hiding, and we are the peasants, and we have devices that we don't really understand what's inside them. How do they really work? We're being manipulated by Apple. We go and buy their latest gizmo, but we are in control. We are the peasants being manipulated by the magicians. It's a very weird, it's a very, very weird time that we're living in, with very few people in control of what we actually use. And
they seem what's worrying. Sorry, Nath, they seem unscrupulous. They are. They don't seem good-natured with our best interests at heart. That is what's worrying me, and they can push the narrative in any direction they want to, and we're going to fall for it
completely.
I think what doesn't help a lot of people, especially like how during lockdown, I think mainly a lot of people got into the subject of UFOs, into spirituality. There's a lot more people asking more questions, but I think even that was kind of hijacked. People they'll read it on Facebook and be like, oh, it must be true. I saw it on the internet. Who controls the internet? Who controls what you see on the internet? Your algorithm does, which is made by the people who know what they want you to see. So even when you think you're learning a new narrative, you're just learning a narrative they want you to know. Anything that they don't want you to know, you're not going to find on Facebook.
I can't
Crazy,
believe,
isn't it?
yeah, oh, completely. You know, as a YouTube creator like you guys, you probably get offered deals to do influence packages. And one of the people who contacted me are a Ukrainian company called NordVPN. And I went, okay, yeah, I quite like VPNs actually. And I was amazed. I'd never done this, but you probably all have VPNs. If you change your geolocation and type in UFO and look at pictures, you get a completely different set from Google. Italy has some of the best images on Google UFO via NordVPN. If you change your country to Italy, completely different in Britain, and weird, completely weird, very restricted in the United States. And it's fascinating. We think we live in a World Wide Web. We don't. We live in a geo-fenced advertising web.
Everyone in America seems to have bad cameras for some reason. It's weird, isn't it? But
wobbly cam.
Yeah, but
right,
no, it's we didn't want to keep you long, Simon, because I know you're a busy man.
Past my bedtime.
Yeah. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Please come back and talk to us again.
It's great keeping in touch with you guys via Facebook and social media. We can use it for the good purposes. And thanks for having me on. I think if I had to leave a closing thought, I think that what's going on with drones, whatever they are, and please you two carry on discussing this, I think we're living in an extremely worrying time. I think people's minds are being messed with. I think the lack of trust in the American government and security services is emblematic of something very serious going on. So thanks for having me on, guys.
You're very welcome. Our pleasure. And we'll talk to you again soon. You take care, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Have a good live cast, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you very much. Take care. There you go, guys. Simon Holland.
Fascinating as always.
Yeah, we was going to have him on for longer, but he's a busy man and he's had a busy day. He's very tired. Yeah. So we was just grateful for the fact that he wanted to come on with us in the first place. But some great insight there. And this is the thing about this subject. I think everybody's going to have an opinion on it. And every time I kind of get into it with my own brain, every possibility seems as worrying as the one before, whatever's going on.
Yeah. As Simon said then, it's worrying because it's either the American government are doing it to their own people, terrifying them and being sneaky and looking around doing whatever they're doing. Yeah. That's worrying. It's foreign adversary, so someone else is invading other countries' airspace without them knowing, which is terrifying. It's aliens, which is terrifying because they're going around doing whatever the hell they like, and there's a hell of a lot more of them now. Or it's a fourth option that's completely unexplained, and we have no idea what it is, which is even worse. So there's no good thing that this could be. Like, it'll just be something like, what is there that makes that a good thing, that these things are being spotted everywhere?
See, the thing about this particular subject is you think you got it figured out. You hear stories of SUV-sized drones. Some of them don't make a noise. Some of them make like the buzzing sound that the propellers make, which probably are drones, to be honest.
Yeah. There's some that look like aeroplanes, sound like aeroplanes, move like aeroplanes.
And they've even got the red and green light on the wing, you know. And then other people are saying, yeah, but if you was an alien, wouldn't you disguise your ship to look like a normal air? So you got that rabbit hole you're going down. So you think you finally got it figured out, that they're advanced tech from the US government, blah, blah, blah. And then you see a clip of it was a soundbite of two pilots talking to air traffic control going over Eugene somewhere. I can't. It's in America anyway, some place called Eugene. And he says, "Have I got any traffic in my vicinity?" And she's saying no. He's saying, "Well, there's bloody loads of them, and they're about 20 miles away, and I know exactly how far away because it's showing on my avoidance. It's got like aircraft avoidance system thing, and it was showing on that, and it was showing from between 20,000 feet to 50,000 feet.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of them, and they were moving erratically. They were coming in with it to about 20 miles, then zipping out at tremendous speed over the ocean, going in corkscrews." And then other pilots started chiming in on the conversation. "Yeah, we can see him as well." Hell is that? You know, and this is recently. This is while all this has been going on around the world. So, like what I said earlier, are these clunky things in New Jersey to cover up what is really going on? You know, is this misdirection, or am I completely wrong? I don't know. So,
like we've mentioned before, if this is a foreign adversary, or it's the US military, or it's some military somewhere in the world, as Simon said, you can buy a drone in Argos. So are you telling me that whatever military it is, the best technology they have that can, you know, snoop on everybody is something I can buy for £45 in Argos? That's the best technology humanity has that we're using for espionage. It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
So
no.
Is there something else is there something going on that we don't know, that we're just guessing, and we could be completely wrong?
Well, that's one thing we can be certain of, mate. There's things going on that we have no clue. I mean, we have pretty much, if you delve into this subject, if you're new to the subject, I feel sorry for you because you've got a lot of shit to wade through. And don't take everything it sounds obvious, but don't take everything you see on TikTok or YouTube as gospel, because so much of that is fabricated. So much of that is AI, which you cannot tell the bloody difference nowadays. You see a clip and you think, my God, if that is genuine, that's amazing, that's incredible. But you're never going to know. So these testimonies, like the one from the air traffic controller and other pilots seeing the same thing, it's been corroborated on radar that these planes were there. They're the ones that are a little bit more interesting to me. But with regards to what's going on in the States at the moment, it's concentrating on this one area, New Jersey, New York area. But they're kind of keeping it quiet that it is global. So if it is a foreign adversary, why are they in Australia? Why are they in India? Why are they in Japan? Why are they in China? Why are they in Russia? It doesn't make sense, does it? So I really,
like Simon said, if you use the VPN, you could see what other countries can see on their news on their Google searches. They could be seeing, oh, we've got all these drone sightings here, there, and everywhere, but you're only seeing sightings from America and from Europe because that's what your social media will tell you. That's what your Google searches will show you. It won't show you what's happening in Afghanistan, because why would it? In Kazakhstan, why would your Google show you that unless you specifically search for it? Which you wouldn't unless you knew to do it. But something terrifying, it's actually fantastic and scary at the same time. I think I sent you something about it the other day, Gaz. The new Google quantum computing chip.
Yes.
They tested it and it did a calculation in 5 minutes that it would take our best supercomputers right now. I think it was 10 septillion years to calculate. And it
older than the age of the universe, basically, isn't it?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they reckon that the way it works proves that there are alternate universes, because it technically uses the power of another universe to do the calculation. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does. But that means that's terrifying in itself, because all of the, you know, like, what was his name? Hacked NASA in the 90s. Gary something, I think. No,
God,
but either way, you can get into like the national security things, or there's a password. All you have to do is guess. How long do you think it'd take?
What about the? I know you mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
can't remember his bloody name, mate. Sorry.
How long do you think it'd take this new supercomputer chip to run every possible password? Every
not
possible
long.
combination. Exactly. Seconds, and it's in.
Yeah.
You could hack anything instantly. So if you imagine they use this computer chip to run a new AI. So that AI can be, I'm going to do this, and it'd do it so fast it almost already happened. Why would it stop and ask you for permission? Would it stop and ask, what would you like me to do? It's just going to start doing it. It could take over the entire world instantly, and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah. Well, that's another argument for these drones. Are these AI? Is this Terminator?
The AI war.
Yes.
That was the point I was going to make. It could just be someone's created AI controlled drones, because the thing of the weapon that I mentioned that they used in Germany, the way that works is it blocks the signal from the remote control, so you take over. But if it's AI, it wouldn't need a remote control. It's controlling itself. It just needs a long enough battery, and they've just made diamond batteries, if I remember rightly, which could last for decades. You stick one of them in a drone, power it by AI, and tell it where you want it to go and what you want it to look for, and off it goes.
Well, that's the thing. They're saying a lot of these drones are just sitting stationary in the sky for like 9 hours. You know, so they're not Argos drones.
No.
So but I refuse to believe that these things, these Argos drones, if that's what you want to call them, can sit over RAF Lakenheath in the UK. Was it 3 days?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. And we cannot do any. And it weren't particularly high. Why didn't someone just shoot at it? I really don't understand that, because we've got all kinds of countermeasures now, like drone countermeasures, laser weapons. We've got, you know, they've been testing on the ships, haven't they? So it was clearly there for some kind of sinister reason. And going to the married quarters, you're going to think, so what? Well, the reason that's sinister is because planes are. There's loads of planes, you know what I mean? If one gets shot down, we got one in storage to replace it. Pilots are the real asset, you know? So if you go after the pilots, so if you're gathering information on the pilots and the families, that's really sinister, that. So, and they did nothing about it. Nothing of that. So that doesn't compute to me, that. So,
no, it was very much the same as their blanket answer for UFOs, for the MOD at least. They don't exist, but if they do, they're not a national security risk. So we don't know what they are, but they're not a threat. But if you don't know what they are, how do you know
they're not a threat?
Like, you obviously know something if you're going to tell us it's not a threat, because just because it didn't kill somebody the first time you saw it doesn't mean it's not a threat. Like, for the MOD, that's their blanket answer. Oh, Gary McKinnon, that's the name I couldn't think of. It's the guy that hacked that. Oh, bloody ring around my head. Hat. Yeah, Gary McKinnon. That's the guy that hacked NASA. I remembered.
Well, on another note, Mr. Stephen Greer has popped up again, and he's talking about early 2025. He's going to do a massive data dump.
How much is he charging?
Makes me laugh, but he's going to have a dump. He's going to have a dump in early 2025. And
he's holding it in for that long.
Jesus. He's going to prove the existence of aliens and their interaction with us and all that kind of. So we'll hang out for that one.
Start saving the money because I'm no doubt I'm going to have to fucking pay for it.
Oh, of course, yeah, I'd imagine so. I don't know. Well, the last one was put on the was put on a website, wasn't it, for everybody to look at? So hopefully he'll do that this time. But that was kind of a so what berg, wasn't it? It weren't nothing we didn't already know.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit late, didn't it? Like we already found out all of that. I just remember, I think it was during lockdown, he'd found a military pilot that was willing to come forward and tell him testimony of some UFO that he'd seen and the evidence for it. And obviously, because it was lockdown, he couldn't meet him in person, so he was going to do a live stream on the internet. And for £25 a ticket, you could watch. Will you just stop charging everybody?
Yeah.
Pissing me off.
Yeah. Oh no, mate. I'll keep my gob shut. I'm trying to be good because I've heard stories that people. I mean, there was a guy. Every time I switch my TikTok on, and I am a bit of a slave to TikTok. I think it's hilarious. A lot of it.
I have to stay off it.
Every time I switch it on at the moment, it's drone. And there was this guy on there moaning that he was stood in a car park in New Jersey, filming this one of these drones, and his feed cut off, and he got a warning for acting dangerously, and he got banned for a day, right? Because he was acting dangerously on the live stream. So I'm kind of any second I'm expecting us to kind of get cut off. You know, so,
I mean, to be fair, the comments stopped. Oh, there we go. Luna commented then, worried me then. I was like, the comments have stopped. That might mean we're just talking to ourselves. No one's watching. YouTube's cut us off.
Well, I was going to go back and kind of sort of go through them a bit because they've been chatting away and we've been kind of immersed in what we were doing. Shall we do that for a bit, Nath?
I'm just going to have while I have a scroll, I'm going to mention, you might have, anyone that's been watching from the beginning might have seen in the intro, there is I mentioned the conspiracy of the month. Before we went on our break, we had a whole podcast series, and we had like three different podcasts. They've all gone. We're not doing podcasts anymore. It'll just be YouTube. But it was a bit of a shame losing Illuminate Me because that was our conspiracy podcast. Because we all love a conspiracy, even the nonsense ones. We love to sit and be like, oh, maybe it's true. It's not. Most of them aren't. But still, we like to believe that maybe they might be. So, going forward, once we're actually back, because I'm not sure when we're going to be doing the next one, there will be a segment on each show from Luna, who will be our Conspiracy of the Month host. So she'll bring us a new conspiracy once a month. Tell us what it is. Tell us what everyone believes, what the theory is, and then we're going to sit and discuss it, whether or not we believe it to be true. Hey, which side of the fence we sit. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good.
Let's have a look through the comments. I went a bit too high.
Oh, Luna. Tea.
Are you sure it's tea? Oh, Luna asked what Gaz, what's in his mug. Let's have a look.
Am I getting blurry-eyed? Each tea, honestly.
Pointless showing these now, Simon's gone. But yeah, I've been trying to read along as the show's been going on. But as we mentioned before, and because we haven't done this in a while, I was like really nervous that I'm going to concentrate. I think Gaz said the same. Concentrate on the comments. Come back and be like, did someone ask me a question? I wasn't listening. I was reading the comments. So I'm trying to read.
Well, that's the only question I've had. What was in the mug?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the comments is people sort of talking amongst themselves, which is always good. I like to see it because I don't like too many questions, not because I don't want to see them. I don't want to miss one. And a lot of the time you get a question that's very niche for where you are, and if you go back 10 minutes later, it kind of pointless answering it. Now you would have covered it or something. So like, yeah, I'd rather.
Well, that's going to be the beauty of the new format, isn't it? Because we're hoping to go to kind of pre-records which will take out a lot of our mess ups and stuff like that. I mean, live is nice. We'll do the odd live every now and again. Live is lovely, you know. It's good fun. But at least that way, if we're doing the pre-records, we'll chuck it on, and then we'll be in the chat room with you guys, and we will be able to react with you and answer questions that you might have. So it'll be better with us, better for us as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool.
We'll still be putting them out live, but we won't actually be sitting here talking live. So we'll be in the comments, watching it with you all and interacting and make it a little bit better for everyone, because we're all sort of chatting amongst ourselves while we're watching the video. So that'd be pretty good. There'll be a slightly different format with guests as well. I think it won't be every time, because some people, they have so many interesting things to come on and talk about that we will just sit back and nod and let them talk for an hour on it, because like they're just so interesting.
Yeah.
But generally, I think going forward, we're going to try and get a guest on, let them tell you what they do, who they are, what they're interested in, and then we're just going to go about the show like we normally would, and just have them as a new co-host for the show. So we'll get their opinion. Pardon me. We'll get their opinion on the conspiracy of the month and whatever topic we're discussing that month. We'll get their theory on that too. So if there's anyone that you think we should get on in the first few shows, drop it in the comments. Let us know. Give us a suggestion, and we'll see what we can do. Don't go too high. We're not that good. We can't get A-list celebrities or anything. But we'll give it a go.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm aiming.
You get us A-list celebrities. I want to get what's his name? Dan Aykroyd. I need to get Dan Aykroyd on. If you can sort that, that'd be amazing.
Robbie Williams. He's a big UFO nut. Craig, what's his face? The Liverpudlian, Craig Charles. Craig Charles, yeah.
Craig Charles, Red Dwarf.
Yeah. He's big into all that sort of stuff. And then we could even go Trump.
Why not?
You really want to laugh?
Apparently, just don't get him on at the same time as Simon. They don't like him.
No, they don't get on. Bless them.
Yes.
But yeah, it's exciting time. Yeah, Tom DeLong. Yeah, why not?
Why not?
We can ask the question. If they
I'll
got
show him a
something
sign that says Tom was right.
Yeah,
aliens exist.
But no, we tend to try and look at things in a bit of a unique way if we can. We try and give all different possibilities to what something could be, because it's like we said at the start of the show, we've got our own opinions on things, but we ain't going to ram that down your throat. But we are going to do is say, hang on a minute, have you thought of this as a possibility? And then you make your own bloody mind up, because
especially when we haven't got a clue. I might be right, you might be right, Simon might be right, people in the comments might be right, we could all be wrong. I don't know. We're never going to actually get told, sorry, you were right, you were wrong. Just keep it open and be like, any of us could be right. It's probably more one than another, but who knows? I'm sure another comment. What you were going to say, Craig David? I thought that
we get him on a Monday or a Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh dear.
He won't be on a Wednesday. He's busy.
Yeah. Only people over a certain age are going to get that joke, Gaz. To be fair, I don't think there's anyone under that certain age that's going to be watching this show, so it's fine. Most people will get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll leave it there if you like, and we'll be back most likely in the new year. We're going to put our heads together. We're probably going to have to record a few, because we're going to sit there and be like, well, that was crap. Let's do that again. So we'll see. We'll pick some topics, sit and record some shows, and then we'll be back.
And if there is a big development in the meantime, like something lands on the White House lawn and something gets out, then there'll be an emergency show, just so that we can go, fucking told you, that kind of stuff. So,
but I need to just double check the dates, because I did have to move everything. But I believe it might be. Don't mind me staring at my phone. Terrible, that, innit? Not very professional. So the 20th of December at 8 o'clock, my new series, Britain Unexplained, will premiere. The first episode will be out next Friday at 8 p.m. here on our YouTube channel. And then the next one will be the week after on the 27th at 8 p.m. So it should be every Friday from next Friday. There'll be a new episode. The first one is a topic I'm pretty certain we've mentioned on here in the past. Big cats in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Are there really wild cats running around, and the theories of what they could be, what they might not be, whatever. The next one after that was really interesting, very local to me, actually, story of who put Bella in the witch elm, which was a tree in 1943, I believe, was some lads were looking for bird eggs in nests, climbed up an old witch elm tree and found a woman's body curled up inside the trunk. And the mystery that unfolded afterwards. So very interesting. So I think I've got 3. Oh, episode 3, guys. You're going to enjoy that one. Enfield. Did the Enfield haunting. Obviously got to be done.
Oh,
so, yes, there are loads of topics, loads of different things in the pipeline. Already decided kind of which order I'm going to go in, but we'll see. So,
yes. Look forward to it.
That'll be weekly content and then monthly content for us guys. So
please watch them. Do you know what I mean? Please have a go. Come and support us, because otherwise we just think we're sitting here talking to our bloody selves. And you know, I'll tell a friend. We wish we could give you an incentive, like a voucher for home base, but it's shutting down, I believe. But you know, something. But please help us out. We do put a lot of work into it. Especially Nath and Luna, they put a hell of a lot of work into it. So help keep us going, because we need
literally,
that.
Because the other series is literally just me. It literally would just be me talking to myself, because it's the most awkward thing I've ever done in my life. Literally sitting in front of the camera talking to myself.
Yeah.
It's so awkward. And then when you mess it up and you're trying to make it seem natural and you're like, isn't this funny? Oh, I messed it up. Isn't this I'm sick of my own voice. So please watch it. Otherwise I'll just stop, because I don't want to do it anymore.
No, we won't let you stop, mate. We'll listen.
Although I will say, if you can watch to the end, there's a nice treat. I've included all of the outtakes in the outro for every video, so you get to see me fumbling over my words. So at least it's worth a giggle.
Cool. Yep, we'll have some of that. I'll watch it just for that, mate, if nothing else.
Yeah, what I mean. I'll put it at the end, so people at least they have to watch to the end to see me fumbling and messing everything up, saying the same line a million times. So
cool. It's
an insurance thing to make sure people actually watch.
Wicked. Right, yeah, look forward to that. Right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As we say, if there are any massive developments, we'll have to get on and do an emergency one. But stay safe and have a good Christmas. And thanks so much for joining us. It's been brilliant.
And we'll see you in the new year.
You will indeed. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.